people sort of being resigned to the sort of the way things are, and kind of frustration about how do you, this is such a big, complicated beast, and the last thing I want to do is add another benefit that's going to cost me more money to the package. There's a sense in which if you take the sort of the depression concept and change it into a just being designed, this is the way things are, that also makes it difficult to motivate action. I'm reminded I'm very interested in what happened to cause us to take on infectious diseases when we had the germ theory was developing. This is another lecture. You guys are lucky you're getting like little snippets. And what was interesting is that the thing that people were afraid of back then was cholera. And because cholera epidemics, you could watch them travel. They'd start in Europe and they would travel across, and you could see then they would jump to the United States and they would travel around the country. So cholera scared people, but tuberculosis didn't, or yellow fever didn't. So you could motivate action around cholera, but you couldn't motivate action as easily around tuberculosis or yellow fever. And the classic study, for those of you who have ever taken public health, is a study of John Snow, who moved it. You know John Snow? Oh, wow.
Public health right now.
Oh, are you a public health? Oh, okay. Hey, I didn't realize I was talking to a public health group here. I just was focusing on the football thing. But the classic story is John Snow. And anyone here can tell us about John Snow and removing the pump handle, and that being associated with the end of the cholera epidemic in London, right, the Broad Street pump. Because people were afraid of that, and that started to change everything when Snow demonstrated that it was something in the water that was causing people to get sick, because before that they thought it was something in the air. They thought it was these things called miasmas. But it took 30 years then for Pasteur and Cook to fully develop the germ theory, and it took a long time to build all the public health infrastructure we needed to get safe water. So what's interesting is that people were resigned to tuberculosis, which was, turns out, caused by a bacillus, et cetera, et cetera. The transmission was different for tuberculosis than it was for cholera. But what motivated action was that, and one hypothesis is kind of the same thing. It's like you just sort of take it for granted that this is how things are. This is the way life is, and that's kind of it's like a corporate depression, if you will. You know what I mean? And it could be the people in the room themselves are just resigned to not being able to make a difference in this, and in many ways that would look like depression. It's an interesting idea. And so nice to people that know John Snow's story. Typically, typically we don't. This is all public.